Steelers come up with it at the Buffalo 30-yard line. Big Ben wants to throw. It is caught in the end zone for the touchdown. Fires it, is picked off, running down the right sideline. He's going to score. He's going to score. Touchdown, Buffalo. Quickly inside the 5, headed to the end zone. He is in. The Bills are in control now. Clock shows 0. The celebrations begin.
The Bills will just say goodnight.
We need to look in the mirror, and it starts with me. I need to play better football because the ball's in my hands every single play. And so when it's in my hands, I need to make the best decision. And right now, I'm not playing good enough football for us to win.
All right, that was Big Ben taking the blame. On that note, we bring in Super Bowl champion, won that Super Bowl with the Steelers, the one and only Ryan Clark. Ryan, good to see you. We will get to you in just a moment here. But Stephen A., talk to me. Have you completely lost faith in your Steelers?
Well, for now, yes. I mean, listen, the word complete is obviously not where I'm going because, you know, they've got some time to right the ship. But if I had to put my money on them right now, before it was about them getting to an AFC championship game and it was all about whether or not they could beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Now it's a question as to whether or not they can win a playoff game. Their offense is so awful, it's offensive. The first 4 series take into consideration Deontay Johnson. He drops one pass, they punt. He drops another pass in the second series, they punt. Eric Ebron dropped a pass, they punt. I mean, damn, people can't catch the damn ball. And don't get me started with their running game. And so when you look at it from that perspective, and then Big Ben Roethlisberger is throwing pick sixes with only 52 seconds left in the first half, I mean, you just look at this team right now and you're saying, what the hell is going on offensively? Defensively, we know they're a big compromise with Devin Bush and Bud Dupree being out for the season. Their secondary is somewhat suspect. We saw Stephon Diggs have his way with them, et cetera, et cetera. Well, a way to offset that is by moving the chains, particularly with running the football. But they can't run the football. They haven't been able to run the football in weeks. And so you got 5 wideouts. You got Ebron. You got James Washington. You got Deontay Johnson. You got Juju Smith-Schuster and Claypool. And Deontay Johnson is dropping passes so much that he gets benched for the end of the first, for the rest of the first half. And we don't see much of him. His confidence seems to be shot. Ebron didn't look much better. You're just looking at it right now with Ben Roethlisberger not being able to shove off defenders the way that he used to. Certainly isn't mobile anymore, and it just spells disaster. We've gone from an undefeated team, question whether or not they can beat the Kansas City Chiefs for an AFC championship game, to wondering whether or not the Steelers are going to win one single playoff game, and it was apropos that they clinched the playoff spot, not by them winning, but by Miami losing. This is not good. It's what I alluded to before. Ryan Clark called me all types of names. Let's see what he has to say now.
No, the sky's not falling, Chicken Little. You should not lose faith in the Steelers. This was predictable. Look at the schedule. This is the whole thing. What does Ryan always say? Best time to play the Steelers or the Ravens after they play each other. Washington's a surging defense. The Steelers had played their 3rd game in 13 days. They were tired. We knew this when their schedule got messed around. They had to take their bye so early because the Titans got COVID, and then the Ravens got COVID, so they missed their mini bye. So this was their 4th game in 19 days. They're supposed to have 28 days to play 4 games. They had 19. So what happened in the last 2 weeks against a surging Washington team, especially on defense? They folded. They had a 2-touchdown lead. They got tired later in the game. By the way, same thing yesterday. They do well early, and then it catches up to them. It's a game of attrition at this point of the season, and the Steelers' schedule has truly screwed them. Not just because now they're playing tough games, not the Bengals. They'll get healthy against the Bengals. But then the Colts and the Browns, and before this, the Ravens were supposed to be a tough game before they all got COVID. In fact, it was, tougher than you might suspect because it's a rivalry game. And then Washington, which wasn't supposed to be tough, as I said, but this was supposed to be tough against the Buffalo Bills. That's all. It's a tired team you're looking at now. And in terms of the run, yes, that's why you should be worried about the Steelers. They can't run the ball. It means they're not getting good enough run blocking, and that will be an issue. However, time of possession, they're very good. And that's really, if you're talking about an eventual matchup with the Chiefs, it's not so much running the ball as it is controlling the clock because you want to keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, right? And the Steelers are pretty good at that through those little short passes, which kind of double as a running game. So am I picking the Steelers to win the Super Bowl? No. They're not as bad as they've looked recently for the reasons I just explained. And there is reason to believe they have chances against anyone.
Yeah, Stephen A., I'm not going to go exactly where you went. I'm kind of in between where you and Max are. I don't believe the sky
is falling, but I believe that it's extremely cloudy. But Stephen A., you seem to miss certain things like Vince Williams being on the COVID reserve list. You're now starting 2 linebackers that haven't started games for you in Williamson and Gilbert. Also on the outside, your best cover corner, Joe Hayden, who's a 2019 Pro Bowler, is in concussion protocol. And also you look at the attrition of having to play these games in the way that they did. Now, there are certain things that have to be fixed, and they have to be fixed by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Either you have to stop throwing the ball to Deontay Johnson and Eric Ebron, or you got to find a run game extremely fast. And when you look at this team, it seemed like last night that was something they wanted to start to do. You get the pick 6 late in the second quarter, and now you kind of have to go away from that. In the second half, some of the zone that you were playing with Lane on the outside, and now putting Cam Sutton on the outside, who is an inside guy, against Stephon Diggs, you can't win like that. And so I expected the Buffalo Bills to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I said it all Friday. Every time I was asked to pick it, I said I'm picking with my heart because my head knows what the true answer is. I'm going to pick with my heart and say that the Pittsburgh Steelers can muster up some of the history of the organization and win the game, but they couldn't. Josh Allen's a better version of Ben Roethlisberger right now. They have a wide receiver that the Pittsburgh Steelers don't. But you can't be all the way out on this team. If you ever believed in Mike Tomlin, if you ever believed in what this team is made of, then you could see them getting back to what they were early on in the season. They lose the backup to Bud Dupree last night for a second. And so there's still some pieces that they could put together defensively. This is what you have to worry about. You have the Colts and you have the Cleveland Browns late in this season. If somehow you lose 1 or you lose 2 of those games and say you end up tied with the Buffalo Bills, you now move down to the 3rd spot. If a tiebreaker falls the Cleveland Browns way, you've now moved into a wild card. So having to go on the road week 1 against a good football team does scare me. And if we go from this team being 11-0, talking about Coach Tomlin being the coach of the year, to a team that loses out in the first round of the playoffs, that's a disappointment. That's going to be something that we talk about. That's going to be something that's going to be used as an indictment on Mike Tomlin and his career, even though it shouldn't. And so the Pittsburgh Steelers team has to get it together, but it's on Randy Fichtner, the offensive coordinator, to figure out a way to not only protect Big Ben by running the football, but also help a defense out that's losing people.
You're going to really give that exceptional football analysis, but you're going to really go on that long, lengthy soliloquy with a serious, straight face, mentioning COVID-19 with the Steelers, but you ignored all them damn COVID tests from Baltimore that led to the whole 3 games in 19 days. Hold on, wait a minute.
I didn't ignore it.
Hold on. Stay with me.
Stay
with me. I let you speak. Stay with me. 3 games in 19 days, Max brought that up. That wasn't because of the Steelers. That was because the Ravens kept testing positive for the COVID test one after another. They had like 3 or 4 positive tests. Okay, so that made the delays go on and on and on. It wasn't that the Steelers tested positive. So what was the Steelers' excuse for their offense looking like trash against Baltimore? Then we get to Washington, who, by the way, doesn't have a name yet. Damn near probably doesn't have a mascot anymore. Okay, their quarterback is still on one leg. God bless him that he's back in the NFL, but he's clearly not himself yet. Okay, so their offense, the Steelers' offense stunk again. So when you're talking about all of these things, how do you sit up there and go like, oh, I must have forgot. I didn't bring up the fact that Williams tested positive when all of this stuff is going around. And there's no excuse for the Steelers offense to look that bad. Stop it, Ryan. Stop it. And
Stephen
I'm telling the truth. Just stop it.
Nobody's giving them an excuse. I just told you there are certain things that this offense has to fix themselves. It's like you just go around and you look at the argument or you look at the
answer. So it's extremely clouded. So it's extremely clouded.
Because you try to pick apart the way the pieces to show people that First Take is your show. But right now, we're on my stomping ground. We're talking about football. So listen, my point is
we're not on your stomping ground.
They have to get it together.
Because you're not objective when it comes to the Steelers. You're not objective when it comes to the Steelers.
Yes,
I'm challenging your objectivity. You said your heart. I'm challenging where your heart lies.
I told you where my heart was in the pick. It's not in the analysis. The analysis of it is this. They need to get physical up front. They have to find a run game. Deontay Johnson and Eric Ebron need to stop dropping the football. You have to start getting an intermediate passing game if you're Randy Fichtner. They're either short, getting the ball out of Ben Roethlisberger's hand quickly, or they're taking a shot in one-on-ones. There's nothing in between that except for some of the option routes you get by Juju Smith-Schuster. This offense has an identity problem. They have to figure that out. I'm not going against that. Defensively, you just got to get some people healthy.
Right. They're
Well,
missing
extremely
Dupree.
cloudy, you
They're
can
missing
still fly.
a key piece. They're missing a key piece on the defense right now. They never had a lot of margin for error. They were beating good teams very close, usually by being better in 2 of the 3 phases of the game, but not by much when you looked at the Titans game or even the Ravens, right? And so the Steelers, without that margin for error, when their schedule screws them, guys. By the way, you said it was 3 games in 13 days, Stephen A. It's 4 in 19. They were on another short week, against one of the best teams in the NFL, period, in the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
And by the way, for the second week, they built a nice lead and then saw it go away because they're exhausted. So I'm not saying the Steelers are the best team in the NFL, Stephen A. I expect them to lose at least once more this season because they got the Browns. They have a couple tough games coming up. I think they'll lose probably one of those. They'll wind up a 3-loss game or something. But watch how you'll be singing a different tune on a full week's rest against the Bengals next week. Events conspired to make the Steelers look worse than they are, and they didn't look that bad.
When I was complaining about the Steelers offense and I was complaining about the absence of a running game, etc., did I say this 2 weeks ago or did I say this a month ago and 6 weeks ago? Excuse me, I've been going off about this. This is not new. That's all I'm trying to say to you, Ryan. I'm saying to you that my complaints, give me this, Ryan. Could you give me this? Because you're the football expert. I understand. You got the ring. You got the chip. Okay? I got it. Okay? Can you give me this? Can you give me this?
What?
Did I not complain about the same exact thing we're complaining about weeks ago before
you did.
They lost? Yes or no?
Stephen A.
That's all.
Yes, 100%.
That's all I'm saying.
100%. I won't even say.
That's all I'm saying.
100%.
Okay. Well, let's get to our next topic here, guys. I want to circle back to the NFC.